to take a look at one of the newest innovations from KNS Precision. The KNS adjustable gas piston for the AK platform. So let's get started.
Okay, first off, let's take a look at it. Now, this is the way my friends at KNS sent me this. It will be packaged differently. So, we got our roll pins. It comes with 2 roll pins and set of instructions. So, let's take a look at the piston itself. And we'll go over the specs. Okay, it is machined from a corrosion resistant heat treated stainless steel. Receives a black nitride coating to protect against wear and corrosion. It is rated for suppressed and full auto. So if you're lucky enough to have one of those, it is made 100% in the USA and has KNS Precision's lifetime warranty. Now, a few quick things on it. If you take a closer look, here's your adjustment dial. Each piston has approximately 72 clicks of adjustment. Now, this may vary slightly depending on the particular piston configuration. There are several different models to choose from. Okay, it does come in 2 configurations, small bore and large bore. Now, the small bore is the one we're using today. And this is for an AK-74, which is the 545 by 39. Also, I believe the small bore is also for the 556 versions, and then you step up into the 762 by 39, which would be the large bore. Now, the nice thing about this is it gives you the ability to adjust the gas system in your AK. As most of us know, one of the things about the AK platform is they are overgassed. So, now on your adjustment dial, you'll notice these flutes. Originally, I thought these flutes were to help pass the gas, past the piston and so forth. And my discussion with KNS Precision, well, they said it might help, but it was actually designed to give you a more aggressive feel and grip on the adjustment dial. So you can use if you're using gloves or bare hand, if it's dirty. So, as you can see, it's got a very audible click to the adjustments. As far as cleaning and maintenance, use your standard solvent. You can use your bore cleaner on it. If you use something like a Hoppy's number 9, then just make sure you rinse it off real good. Wipe it off. You don't want to leave that on there. If by chance you would get a buildup in the chamber inside of here, because you can see there's a hole which leads to the exit port. Basically, you can just clean it out with a small bore brush or so forth, and then again just clean it with CLP or what have you. Now, in testing, they were telling me that they ran it through all kinds of tests. This has actually been in development for over 2 years to come to the finished product. One of the tests they were doing was a full auto test, and they'd ran, I believe it was about 4,000 rounds through the rifle at full auto, and it began to fail. Well, at first they thought there was an issue with the piston. They took the piston out, they looked it over, cleaned it up a little bit, it was fine, put it back in, and the weapon still failed. So they looked at the gas block itself, and inside the gas block there's a little cup. I guess the gas port cup is what you could call it. And it had actually built up so much carbon in the gas block that it wasn't allowing the gas to enter the piston in the way that it needs to cycle the weapon. So that in itself tells you, the basic design of the rifle started failing before the piston did. So I'm going to go over a couple of things here in the next segment as to how to pick the right piston for your rifle. And also I wanted to say, I forgot one note, sorry. This is US 992 compliant. So installing this on your AK will not violate any regulations or so forth and so on. So, okay, let's get towards the installation. We're going to take a look at the tools, and like I said, I'm going to go over a couple of notes, and then we're going to get it installed. Okay, now, if you're thinking about getting one of these, first thing you need to do, of course, is pull out your bolt carrier and your piston. Now, go to KNS's website, click on AK stuff. It will take you to the AK page. First thing on that page will be the adjustable piston. Go ahead and click on that. There'll be a few pictures, brief description, then there will be a section of some pictures and charts. Now this is very important in determining which piston you need. First chart is going to show you how to measure your piston and get the right measurements. Now I took it to make it easy. I put it right at 1 foot. So what you want to do is you want to measure from here to the end of your piston head, and then you also want to measure from here to the center of your rivet. That's the first chart. It diagrams it out. Okay, now with those measurements, then which I'll show right here. Then you want to go to the next chart, which I show right here. And determine which piston you need. Now it goes according to make, model, manufacturer, caliber. Okay. If you do end up having any questions or you're not entirely sure, feel free to contact KNS Precision. They'll be more than happy to help. So we got our measurements here. We got the right one picked out. Now this is for an AK-74, and it was a Bulgarian kit for the most part. The barrel, trunnion, and all that was out of a Bulgarian, AK-74. So, but that's very important. You can't just go off of, well, I've got this type of AK, because when you look at that chart, you're gonna see just how many different ones there are. So, all right, let's get to the installation. Okay, once you've determined which piston you need, you have it ordered, you get it, pull out your bolt carrier and your piston. Now the installation's going to be, I want to say it differs between AKs, and it depends on your particular AK as to whether It's had an aftermarket piston already put in it. If that was the case, most likely you're going to have a roll pin already in here, which will make the installation much easier. Now, depending on the particular AK, such as this one being a Bulgarian, the piston was put in, they put a pin in, and then just pounded both sides flat, ground it down, then coated it. Now, if this is the case, what you'll need to do is drill one side of it out. Just enough, drill it down just far enough so you can knock the pin out. You will need a 3/32 bit and an 1/8 inch drill bit, preferably cobalt, and I very much recommend using a drill press. You also may need a center punch or a very small nail set, because you will need to put a mark or a little divot in the pin itself so you can get the drill bit started. Now, I've already gone ahead and drilled that one off, so we're going to go ahead and punch that out. Now, very important, if by chance you don't feel you're capable of doing it, I very much recommend seeking out a gunsmith to do it for you, somebody that's very familiar with the AK platform. There's also some other variants out there. Sega, some of the Segas actually, rather than a pin, they somehow heat up both sides of the carrier and dimple it into the piston. Now, if that's the case, you will need to drill it completely through or drill out both sides. So, anyway, just something to consider. Take a good look at, before you make your decision. So we're going to go ahead and get this knocked out. Now, the tools you're going to need: a 3/32 inch punch, an 1/8 inch punch. You may want to go with some roll pin punches when you set the new roll pin in after installation of the new piston. Possibly a pair of vice grips or channel locks, your choice. I'll show you what those are for a minute. And a fairly nice little hammer. I like to use my shop hammer. So, okay, as I said, we've already taken off the one side of the pin, so got it secured in the vise. Depending on your particular vise, I like to put a little block underneath. Just helps support it, so in case it decides it wants to turn or it happens to be really stubborn. So it's just a matter of, there we go. So we got the old pin out, and that's what it'll look like. Throw that over there. Okay, pull this out for a second. Okay, now what the vice grip or the channel locks are, it depends. If this is factory, it may be a little stubborn to get it to unscrew. There are different variables in there. Depending on how it's done, it may have distorted the threads around the pinhole. So my recommendations is just with a pair of vice grips. If you can't turn it out by hand, get a hold of it just lightly with the vice grip and see if it turns. Okay, if it doesn't and your pin is completely out, you may need to clamp the vice grips down on it. Just, be very careful as to not really trying to damage the shaft here if you're planning on keeping your original piston for some reason. So I'm just going to go ahead. Okay. And then we're going to turn this out. There we go. Now we can go ahead and install the new one. Now, one other thing you may want to use, and it's gonna depend, you know, it's kind of a personal thing, you know, depending on your lighting, is you want to look down in there and make sure that hole is perfectly aligned. So you may want to turn it to the next hole, see where that actually is sitting. Turn it back. Okay, that one's definitely a little further this way. Okay, you can also use your base measurement if you want to do it that way. Personally, I just like to make sure that this is 100% lined up. Okay, it's not going any further that way. Because if you do get this off and you go to put that roll pin in there, you may get it in, but I don't think you'll ever get it out without drilling it. Okay, that looks like our spot right there. I'm going to go ahead and put our block back under there. I also recommend using your punches. Just drop it in there. Alright, now per the instructions, okay, when you put your pin in, it is not necessary to drive the pin completely through. That's going to be a matter of choice if you want to go ahead and drive the pin through to where it's even on both sides. Per the instructions, you just need to drive it in so it goes past the outside of the carrier and then set it down to the top of the chamfer and it's in. So again, that's going to be a matter of preference as to if you want to do that or not. I always like to use my hemostats to get them started. It just saves on fingertips. Alright, now we're going to take our 1/8 inch punch. You can use a bigger one if you want, and actually I think I'm going to, just to give me more surface area. Okay, now at this point you're right below the top. Then I would switch, if you use a bigger one, then switch to the 1/8 inch. I'm going to switch to my roll pin punch. Hopefully you can get a good look at that. I'll see if I can get over to the top. So now it's just at the below the top of the chamfer. Now I'm going to go ahead and drive it in just a little bit more. And there we go. That's all there is to the installation. Okay, let's get out and put some rounds through the rifle and let's play with it. Okay, let's give it a try. Now I have the piston dialed all the way closed, so we'll let off a couple of rounds. Got 3 in here. And we're empty. Okay, now the instructions say dial it out in 5-click increments. I'm not going to subject you to sitting there watching me dial it out, so I've already found my point of failure, where the gun will not cycle and it actually won't kick out the spent cartridge, or casing, excuse me. So what I'm going to do is dial it about halfway and then see what happens. I started about halfway, I started having a little issue with it trying to pick up the next round. So, excuse me while I count. Alright, I went out 15 clicks, and I didn't have to use my fingers or toes either. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. Okay, get back in. There we go. And we'll get a couple more rounds loaded up. We're gonna go 2 this time. So, see what happens on the second, trying to pick up the second round. So, we're hot. Okay, there's the spent case. Now, hopefully, you can see that it just didn't quite pick up that second round. I'm gonna go ahead and lock it open. Oh, we got it in there. There we go. Okay, so go ahead and put the round back in the magazine. I'm gonna add a second round. Now we're gonna, that was 15 clicks. So now I'm gonna dial it out to the point of failure, which for this particular gun was at 25 clicks. And just in case anybody is interested or curious, this top rail is machined aluminum. It's from Texas Weapon Systems. So, figure just in case somebody asks. Hope my friends at KNS don't mind. So, this is actually a friend of mine's rifle, so he let me borrow it. Okay, so we're at 15. Okay, 25. And that's full failure. At least it did in the test. It would not even eject the spent round. So I'll show you here in a second. There we go. Kind of reminds me of a M60. All right. Now watch closely. Okay. Did not pick up the next round. And there's the spent casing. So again, one of the things you could do with this is training exercises to put yourself in that situation of, for some reason, the gun wouldn't cycle. So, whoops, let's put a couple more rounds in there, we'll do it that way. Okay. Yeah, we're done. So, it's actually kind of fun doing that. Now what we're gonna do is dial it back in, but I'm gonna take the piston out and I'm gonna show you where it's at. So, yeah. Hopefully you guys will be able to get a look at this. Okay, there we go. Now you can see when dialed all the way up, the ring is flush against that part of the piston. So, okay, now let's dial it down, or dial it back in to the point where we're going to be running right. Let's see. Okay, so says to dial it back in increments of 2. So there's 5, 6, 8. So dialed it back in 8. So it leaves 17 clicks out. So let's see where we're at. Another round in there. Threw out the case. Did not pick up the next round. So, I'm going to jump ahead here. Okay, so that was 8. Okay, I'm going to go in another 4 clicks. So that puts me at 12. Or, excuse me. I can't think today. So I'm out 12. That puts me at 13 from closed. Almost had to use my fingers and toes on that one. All right. And it did pick up the next round without any issue. So, piston sitting at 13 clicks. Running fine. Let's run a few more rounds through it and see on the functionality. I do gotta say, from all the way closed, it is a lot lighter recoil. Even though this is AK-74, it's still, I mean, it's got, you know, just a little bit of recoil. But it is a lot lighter. Okay, we got 5 rounds. So, okay, now we had an issue. It did not pick it up. Okay. So, let's take it in. We were at 13. Well, I'm just going to go to 10. So, and actually, if I remember right, in testing this, I think that's actually where I need to be. Okay. One little hiccup. Now, there are really some advantages to this piston system. So, I mean, you're kind of thinking to yourself, why would I want this? Okay, one, like I said, to lighten the recoil, with the different types of ammunition out there, you know, some hit harder than others. We all know that the AK is overgassed. So when you dial that gas back, it does make it a little more manageable to keep it on target. So, and there are people that do reload. They like to, you know, load hot loads or what have you. Again, running suppressed. So, I mean, it's kind of really comes down just a matter of personal preference, which you guys that follow my channel know I'm a big believer in. You know, what some people like, other people don't. So let's try it. Okay, I haven't touched it. let's see how she runs again. Whoop. God, I had it locked open. Alright. And we did it again. Let's drop the mag. Okay. And like I said, you will have to play with it a little bit, given the different, different rifles. On their website, in the PDF of the instructions, there is actually a base chart that you can start with. So I'm going to go in, we were at 10, I'm going to go to 8, which if I remember right is actually what the chart called for. In testing this off camera, you run it, and then of course what works when you're don't have the camera running doesn't want to work when you have the camera running. So, alright. See how we go. 8 clicks out. Still out of hiccup. We are up. So, now, given we're using military surplus ammo, I'm going to contribute that to the ammo, because any of us that have shot that mil-spec stuff, or mil-serp, know that sometimes you get hotter loads, sometimes you get lesser loads. I know just shooting my Wasser 10 with, I don't even remember what it was, imported ammo, the 7.62 by 39. There was times I would pull the trigger and I wasn't sure if it cycled or not. So, but I'm going to contribute that one to it. So, I don't know. Again, it's something you're going to have to think about. I do recommend it if you have a suppressor. There are different variables in there. So, I read the entire PDF on KNS's website after I had interviewed him on it, and it does say sometimes, there's other factors in there, the style of brake you have, again, suppressed. So, honestly though, in my opinion, it is probably one of the most outstanding innovations for the AK platform that's come along in a long time. So, hats off to KNS Precision. Alright, let's get back to the shop and a few thoughts and a few closing words.
Well, there you have it, my friends. A look at the installation and a little bit of range time. Now, on the range video, if I made some mistakes, I do apologize. Better on the workbench than I am on the range behind the camera. Now, in adjusting the piston, some are going to say that I probably should have shortened it up and just showed, open or closed, open, and then fully functional. I disagree. I did do some test shooting with it before I started recording. That's why I said in the video referred to, well, when I was testing it, that was the setting. Okay, you will have to play with it a little bit to get that exact setting. It's also going to determine on the ammo you're using. I was using military surplus ammo, and as we all know, that can vary a little bit given powder loads. I've actually disassembled some before and found anywhere from a grain to a grain and a half difference in the powder. But that being said, I wanted to show you the hiccups so you know what to expect. If you decide you want to get one of these, So that way when you go out, after you get it installed, you go out shooting and it does that, you're going to say, well, hey, I saw that in the video. Okay, I just got to give it another click or two and then go from there. So, you know, I really like to take you guys along with me when I do things like this because it shows you what to expect. And if there's an issue or, you know, a hiccup, then you, like I said, know what to expect. So, I hope it sufficed as far as the demonstration. Now, as I was saying, if you go on their website, you click on the AK Stuff tab, little box, I believe up in the upper right-hand corner. That'll take you to the AK page. I believe it's the first thing on that page. Then follow the yellow brick road, if you will. It's very important on those charts and to determine which one you need. And again, if you need some help picking out the right piston, don't be afraid to email them or call KNS Precision because, as I've said before, they have an outstanding customer service department. Everyone there is happy to help you pick out the right one because they want your weapon running top notch with their products. So they're more than happy to help. So I gotta say, this little AK-74 is kind of nice. I do want to do a shout out in the video to my friend Mikey for letting me borrow his rifle. It's actually a friend slash customer. So thanks, Mike. Anyway, my friends, I think that about wraps it up. I am going to place a link in the description below. Even though YouTube's new guidelines, KNS Precision does not sell high capacity magazines. They do not sell firearms or rate increasing devices. Oh yeah, that reminds me. That is one other attribute to this piston. If you play with it enough, depending if you want it, you can actually slow down your cycle rate. I know some people are going to say, why the hell would I want to do that? Well, gives you better on target, you know, per trigger pull. If you can slow down that cycle rate, you don't have that slamming. So, anyway, just something to think about. Now, as I always say, it's a matter of personal preference. Okay? I know there's going to be people out there that say, what the hell do I want that for? Why would I do that to my AK? That's your choice. Okay? There are people out there that'd be like, hey, that'd be cool. I reload my own. I'd like to dial it in for the loads. I've got a suppressor. That would be excellent. So, it all comes down to personal preference, my friends. So, just think about it. So, my friends, as I like to say, when precision counts, get precise with KNS Precision. Till next time, target on.